Greetings all from Culture Cult, bringing you snippets of a short story entitled The Shadows of Gastown. The story is based on Jack Dayton, a true character who arrives in Canada to seek a better life and even fortune. He settles in the oldest neighborhood of Vancouver, what is now known as Gastown, where most of the story events take place. The Shadows of Gastown is a story rich with complex themes that intertwine to create a dark, emotional narrative set against the backdrop of late 19th century Vancouver. The story is a haunting tale that weaves various themes into a narrative of love, loss, and the supernatural, creating a powerful exploration of the human condition and the unseen forces that shape our lives. Without further ado, let's dive in. The Shadows of Gastown. Chapter 1. The year was 1867 when Jack Dayton, a weathered Yorkshire seaman, arrived in the burgeoning settlement of Vancouver, eager to leave his mark on the wild frontier. The sea had been his companion for years, but now he sought something different. Something more enduring than the fleeting tides. The settlement that would become known as Gastown was little more than a collection of shanties and thick forest, but to Jack, it was a land of opportunity. The journey to Vancouver was grueling. The Pacific winds were unforgiving, battering Jack's steamboat as he navigated treacherous waters. Supplies ran low, and the crew, hardened though they were, grew restless. But Jack, with his gift of gab, his gassing, as his crew would say, kept spirits high with tales of fortune awaiting them in the west. He could charm the sea itself if need be, and it was this charm that had gotten him this far. When Jack finally stepped onto the shore, he was met with a land as wild as any ocean he had ever crossed. The dense forest loomed like a barrier between him and his dream. The few settlers who had made this place their home eyed him with a mix of curiosity and skepticism. They knew the land was unforgiving, and many had tried and failed to carve out a living here. Jack's first challenge was to clear a space for his saloon. The forest was thick, its ancient trees towering over him like guardians of a forgotten world. With the help of a few hired hands and the promise of free drinks once the saloon was built, Jack set to work. It was back-breaking labor, but Jack's vision kept him going. The trees fell, one by one, and the land slowly yielded to his determination. But the challenges didn't stop with the land. Supplies were scarce, and Jack had to make do with what little he could scavenge. The settlers were wary of this newcomer with his grand plans and silver tongue. Some whispered that he was a fool, chasing a dream that would never come to fruition. But Jack knew how to win people over. He offered a place for the weary to gather, a hearth to warm their bones, and a drink to ease their troubles. Finally, after weeks of relentless work, the saloon stood tall, a rough-hewn building, but sturdy and inviting. Jack named it the Globe, a nod to the tavern he had frequented back in England, and it quickly became the heart of the settlement. The warmth of the fire, the clink of glasses, and the hum of conversation filled the air, and for a moment it seemed that Jack had overcome every obstacle in his path. But the true challenge lay within the walls of the saloon, in a mystery that would haunt Jack long after the last drink was served each night. As the days turned into weeks, strange occurrences began to unsettle the patrons. The fire would suddenly flare up, casting eerie shadows on the walls. Muffled voices echoed from the back rooms, though no one was there. And then there were the carvings, marks that appeared on the walls overnight, as if by an unseen hand. They were symbols no one could decipher, not even the most seasoned trappers who had spent years in the wilderness. Jack tried to brush it off as superstition, but deep down he felt a growing unease. The land he had claimed for his saloon was old, far older than the settlers could comprehend, and it seemed to resist his intrusion. One night, after the last patron had stumbled out into the foggy streets, Jack sat alone by the fire, staring at the newest carving, a spiral that seemed to draw him in, deeper and deeper. The flickering light played tricks on his eyes, and just as he was about to turn away, he saw it. A figure in the shadows, watching him. It was a man, or what had once been a man, with eyes that burned like embers, and a voice that whispered of forgotten tales. The figure spoke of the land's history, of those who had come before and failed to heed the warnings. It told Jack of a pact made long ago, a promise that the land would remain untouched, and of the consequences for those who broke that promise. The mystery within the walls of the globe was no mere superstition. It was a curse, and Jack had unknowingly stirred it to life. As the figure faded into the darkness, Jack knew that his greatest challenge had just begun. The land had given him a chance to build his dream, but now it demanded a price. And as the shadows danced on the walls, Jack realized that he was no longer the master of his fate. He was merely a player in a story that had been written long before he arrived. I hope you enjoyed this first taste of the story. If so, give it an approving thumbs up. More to come soon. Until then, take care.